Right.
It's Friday. Good morning, everybody.
I'm still stuck
I've
on
been
that
watching.
pause in the morning, Ryan. I'm like, are you gonna say
Well, there is
something?
a
Is somebody
delay.
gonna
There is
talk?
a delay. If you
Yes,
watch
yes.
back the videos, there is a delay of like 10 seconds. So we always got to kind of wait for that 10-second delay.
But in the background when you're waiting, it's like,
Oh yeah, 100%. You got to be ready for it. But it's wins and lessons today. Like let's get into it. It's gonna be a great day.
Awesome. Let's do it.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
see, James
Lisa's-
swept in.
Yeah,
James
he
swept in here.
James.
Good morning, James. Lisa, I don't know what happened. You were 4.5 for the week, and
I'm taking back. Something must have happened.
Honestly, something must have happened, boys. So, it's Friday. We got some.
Well, at least today it came on right away. First shot. There was no issues. Everybody's good. Restream's not having any issues.
I was gonna say that, and then I was like, we still have like 29 minutes left. So like, you just never know what could happen. Like I want to say good morning, DJ. Caught the show yesterday. Was amazing. Actually, we had the Bodacious Cowboy on there this morning. Yesterday. So,
did you wear your hat and everything, Jeff?
No, I didn't. I was going to actually, I was going to put these babies on my. I call them my John Lennon specs.
Ooh, that's like there.
Totally changed the look.
Yeah, like do you talk to customers with those glasses on, or?
Oh, absolutely. I wear them at dinner and lunch and all this kind of stuff. Then they ask me for autographs and stuff. No, it's. I got yellow ones too. So
yeah, wow, you got the whole thing, man. You gotta send some to us, man. Like, let's get that kind of started, boys.
It's so funny.
So who's starting? What's going on? What's happening?
Yeah,
Ryan, come on, man. Why don't you start off with change, man? Tell us about your wins and losses.
Wins and losses, my man. Well, wins and lessons, right?
Lessons.
It's gonna be one of those days, but yeah, big win for me. We basically started just kind of like getting intentional with, just like Dan was talking yesterday. We landed another customer this week. It's been going really, really well. It's really nice when you have congruent customers, right? And you're able to kind of scale with them and kind of understand what they're going through. And the best thing about that, I always love bringing on new customers and having my existing customers. But the best thing for me is just to learn their challenges and like understand that, hey, doing the SOP, like learning from you, Jeff, like saying with like your 20-point or 60-point SOP that you kind of go through, how that kind of works. So that was my big win for the week. We're almost close to what next week is Christmas and not Christmas. Sorry, next week is going to be Halloween and Diwali. I know, right? I'm kind of going from there.
Did I miss?
Looking forward to spending some amazing time with family and friends for Diwali next week. So that was definitely my biggest win for the week. What about you guys?
Go ahead, Dan. It's been a while, sir.
Gosh, yeah. Because I think did I miss last week or was I on last week? I can't remember. I for the first time in 73 days actually ate a cookie, which I am super stoked about. It was funny because as I'm eating the cookie, this is exactly what I'm thinking.
You're starving and somebody throw you a cracker, you're gonna be like this. God damn, that's the best cracker I've ate in my life.
Right? Like I sat there and I took a bite and it was like, oh my gosh. And like I'm like like it was, I had chocolate coming out the sides here. It was just one cookie. It was like it's like I bathed in it. But that was super awesome. And starting to eat soups and yogurts and stuff like that. So hopefully I won't be hooked up to a feeding tube for too much longer. That was a huge win. Another win that I guess it'd be more of a lesson than a win, but the lesson turned into a win is patience. If there's one thing I've been struggling with the past 5 weeks is patience. Leading up to the end of my radiation treatments and all that kind of stuff, where the voice started getting raspy. It started phlegming up pretty good. And at the hospital, they said the next 2 weeks after radiation are like the worst. And
Yeah.
I kind of went into it with the same approach that I did with the chemo. The chemo doctors were like, this one's going to be bad. This one's going to be really bad because of your blood count and all that. And nothing really happened. So I was hoping that was going to be the scenario when it came to that. Well, it wasn't. And I think I was telling Ryan this yesterday, when you have something like cancer come into your body or start in your body, as high performers, we have things we want to go after all the time. We're always striving. But when you get something like this, it takes that striving to a whole new level. Because like, okay, now I want to do this. Now I want to start knocking things off my bucket list. And it gives you this different perspective. And the biggest struggle for me over the past 3 weeks is I want to start climbing that mountain, but I just can't. I physically can't. So like, you come out and you're like, yeah, and you wake up, you're like, oh my God, I slept half the day and I got to get going. And it's been so tough mentally because you got all these things you want to do and they excite you and they literally keep you up all night. Finally, only the last 3 nights I started sleeping more than 4 hours. Otherwise, it was just the brain was like going. You're lying in bed. You're like, oh man, yeah. And then you're writing. Then you get up in the morning and you can only do 10 minutes of it, as opposed to like going through an entire day of just SWAT teaming and knocking things off and getting things going. So that's the 2 battles that I faced over the last probably a couple of weeks, and kind of just came to fruition over the last kind of 48 hours in my headspace and getting into it and settling into it, and just understanding that I'll do what I can, but as soon as it gets sloppy, I gotta take a step back, because the last thing you want to do is deliver sloppy work, right? So that for me was the big kind of Oprah aha moment, and more along the lines of okay, now I got a baseline, because I'm stressing myself out. I'm creating huge anxiety, which is transferring into depression and all these other things. And I'm just like, and you got to stop and go, okay, whoa, what's the new baseline right now? Because I realized all that was doing was making so many things worse. Like so many things are one cough turned into, and it's like, it's just that ability to deal with patience better. And I've got a lot left to learn, because I've realized I'm not a patient person at all. Like I thought I had patience, but I'm not patient. So new learning, new step up of skill development for me, let me tell you.
Interesting, Dan. And this is just an observation. And it's a good one. Over this past week, you've been on the show multiple times where in the past you haven't. So that's, a win, I would think. Your voice is sounding a hell of a lot better than what it did last week. And, you're not breaking or anything like that, like you did a few weeks ago. So you may not think that, but what we hear and see is,
as Jeff is getting, the Geek Squad, he
Yeah,
constantly says Geek Squad is coming, but
I
feel like
saying they're coming. He's just not spending the money on it, man.
he's just not spending the money, like where's the Geek Squad, like I've been hearing this for the past month.
They're coming in. They are coming in. I am so.
What do you live like on a farm or something? Yeah.
I tell you, patience. I have patience.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you know what? To get back to what I was saying, Dan, and it's all good. You may not realize or think you don't have patience, but you do, because you were patient. You had enough patience over the last 2.5 months to 3 months to take a step back, not do the podcast, have faith in Ryan and myself to carry it on. And I think that takes a lot of patience. It takes a leap of faith. It takes patience, to take care of yourself, because you wouldn't be where you are today if you didn't have that patience. So I am in total disagreement with you. And we were just talking about it. It's okay to agree to disagree.
100%.
and that's just my observation. So you keep on doing what you're doing, man, because you're taking huge leaps forward, huge, and you don't know it because of what you've gone through. But we see it and we hear it.
But I appreciate that, and Jeff, it is one of those things where I do know, but when you want to take a step and you have to like take an inch, that's the frustrating part. That's the part that drills into me, anyways. Like even to the point where I don't got a very big front lawn. I was like, I just need it cut, and like halfway through, I'm like, oh my god, I just want to sleep. You know what I mean? And it's that kind of thing where normally, right? And again, it kind of goes back to that. Anytime you're not good at something, you always compare yourself to somebody that's like super good at it. Even then, of course, the first thing my head goes is, well, I used to be able to do this, no problem. It's kind of like if any of you have ever gone to the gym, and especially in your early teens and 20s, right? Where for me anyways, I was in bodybuilding competition. So it was like, you push iron to sculpt and to gain mass and then sculpt your body. And then I remember I had quit going to the gym when I started working in logistics. And about 6 months later, I go back to the gym and you get under the bench and you're like, no, just throw the weight. And you're like, dude, you haven't been here for a while and you can't produce the way you produce when you're at your peak in the gym. That kind of frustration. If anyone's ever been there, that's the frustration. But the good thing is in the muscle memory situation, 3 weeks, you're kind of back to where you would be. Where,
True.
From what I went through with the fight with cancer, it was every aspect of my body. Like I couldn't put the proper nutrition in me in order to help my body get better. So then my body wasn't getting better at the rate it wanted to. So, you know what I'm saying? So there's always and then you get an infection and you got to stop and focus on that. And so it was nice, really nice to finally turn that corner. Right.
Yep.
Not to mention I typically put false timelines for myself. Something that's, it's a 2-week job. Okay, that's perfect. Let's get it done in 5 days. You know what I mean? Ryan knows that. He sees a lot of my texts in the background.
Yeah. You need to slow down, man. You need to slow down and have that
Oh,
patience.
man.
Dan, yeah, he definitely does. But yeah, Jeff, man, you haven't gotten into it yet, man. What's your wins for the week, brother?
Yeah. So, well, this week, got a new customer, going to launch a few lanes next week. Not going in it like full tilt. I don't believe in that because every time you launch something, you're going to have these bumps in the road. It's inevitable because you're learning about each other. So we're going nice and slow and then move it forward at a decent rate, not like let's just do it and get it over with. Going to visit one of my big customers next week on Tuesday, flying to Dallas, locked everything in, just flying down there in the morning, coming back at night. I love doing that. I used to do that in my past. The rough ones is going to California and trying to spin that around in one day. I'll do that in January, but looking forward to that with my partner. Got presentations, everything. So I think it's going to be a great meeting. Lessons, patience. I was going to say patience because we had this one client, we started this new lane and they had some problems launching it. And it wasn't because of us or my customer. It was their vendor that we were doing business with. And they said I'm going to have, like 4 loads a day. And next thing you know, there was some delays. And my customer called me up and said, pull your drivers out. It's not working. It's not your fault. It's that we're not getting the orders from our vendors or anything. So it's like patience on that side, just like with anything that you do in the logistics, you have to have that patience in order to go at a certain pace and know that something's either going to happen or not happen and accept it for what it is. So it's a lesson in that way, that nothing seems to be what it is until it is, if that makes any sense. Right.
Yeah, I know that.
Right. And the thing is that for the people that are new in the logistics industry, it's kind of a hard hit. It really is, because they haven't lived through it. But the more things like those kind of problems come up, the more patience that you need. You accept it a little bit more easier than you would if you really needed that lane. And it's like, oh my God, what am I going to do kind of deal. So it wasn't all that bad, but it was just a lesson that proves that what has happened in the past will raise its ugly head again. And you just have to have patience. And I do several other lanes for this customer as well. So it's not over. It's not done or anything like that. And I don't know, see my board in the back, but I got a mini bid that I did another RFP, and I'm supposed to hear back today. So
You
who knows?
love RFPs, don't you?
I don't. Well, you know what? I don't know.
Every time I talk to you, you have a different RFP going. You love
The thing
RFPs.
is that I don't call this an RFP because when you do RFPs for these like $100 million shippers, when I used to work for them, something like this is not even near 100 million. So it's like easy peasy kind of deal. You go through the same steps and processes and you weed out certain things and all that kind of stuff. But it's, an RFP only lasts for a few months now. I mean, we discussed this with Dean as well. It's not like the annual thing. So yeah, I hopefully I get more RFP because we're going to be discussing that every couple of months, if not sooner, because the market's changing. Everything is changing, not the way it used to be years ago, So am I glad that I get the opportunity to do an RFP? Hell yeah. Am I going to win them all? Hell no, I don't want to, It's so, yeah, I kind of like RFPs. So yeah, so it was a good week, man. It's a good week. My nephew flew in from Salt Lake City. Haven't seen him in a few years, so it's nice to have him visiting for the next couple of weeks. So going to a few, I don't know, going golfing possibly, and then we're going to an Army game tomorrow. So
Nice.
wins, yeah. That's what it's all about.
And it's nice. It's honestly really nice to hear that you're like not saying you're not doing anything, but like I know the past couple Fridays, like you said, like, hey, I'm just gonna chill out this weekend. I'm not gonna do anything, nothing planned, and to go out there, go golfing, go see the Army game. That's awesome, man. Like, that's actually my favorite win of yours, to be completely honest, of everything that you said today. So
that was another one too, that a loss, because it wasn't a lesson, it was more of a loss. My 2009 Ford Fusion took a dumper, and so we went out and bought another car. And it's like, believe it or not, it's my 45th car that I bought.
Wait,
so
what?
So I'm going to do the good thing. I've done it 3 times already, twice this past year. I'm donating my car to the Wounded Warrior Project. I love to give back when I possibly can, where and when I can, and help other people. So that's all part of me. What I like to do is to help other people, and especially the people indirectly who help us all here, the veterans and all of that. So I try to do that on Mission 22. Look them up. Great foundation, and of course the Wounded Warrior Project.
So you're gonna give them a broken car?
Well, no, it runs, but it's got 211,000 miles on it. So they take all different ones, and they may auction it or take it to the salvage, but they get all that money for it.
Oh, okay. I was thinking to myself, did you just tell everybody that you're gonna go drop off like a car that doesn't run to somebody that needs vehicles?
And he brokered like the tow truck. He brokered the tow truck to get it.
Yeah. Well,
and he made like a $500 margin.
For me to drop off this car. Sorry, I misunderstood that.
I wouldn't do that.
No, we're just playing.
I support the Mission 22. Do you know what the Mission 22 is?
No.
Well, Mission 22 is a foundation that helps veterans. It's about veterans who commit suicide 22 times a day. It's horrible, but the new analytics is that it's down now to about 18 or 19 vets that are taking their lives. And so we support them, help them. One of my really good friends runs this outing every year and supports them with everything that he got, as well as Army as well, West Point. So I promised him, I said, every single year I will support those efforts. Even if I do golf, if I don't golf, you know, I will donate something. So
That's good.
sticking to my guns, man.
It's awesome to hear, man. And
Well, it's close to your heart, brother. So it's yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And Dan, your camera went off.
got there. He's working on it there. And just want to actually get into the comments. We kind of got here. DJ, he says here, bingo, Jeff, as high performance performers, we are our own worst critic. Trust your process and everything will fall in place when the time is ready. And that's what I really love about DJ, you know, just that positivity and understanding, you know.
Yeah.
And Jenny comes back here, says, hey, you know what? Couldn't agree more. And then James comes with a comment for Dano. Very true, but the beautiful thing is that you're gonna be strong in multiple ways, whether it's physical, spiritually, more patience, whatever it is. Dan has conquered it. And let's go. Kyle kind of hits you with
Thank you, brother.
your donation of the Ford Fusion. I've got a 2015 Ford Fusion, so I think Dan has a Ford Fusion as well.
They're awesome.
I had the Fusion Energy, the hybrid electric one. I loved it. I love that.
I love my Fusion.
I love that
car
car,
was
man.
so comfortable. It was elegant. Like it had the. I mean, never again will I get white seats. It looked really good. Like when I picked it up, I was like, "Damn, the black off the white." I was like, "Jeez, this looks awesome." Come on, dogs, come check it out. I'm like,
no, boy, man.
And then my buddy at the office, he's like, dude, I got this stuff for you. It cleans it really well. And like the seats were when like white, those, and not really that like 80-year-old creamy color, but the white, right? And I mean, it looks sharp.
Like the Lincoln.
You see in a lot of Teslas. Yeah, you see in a lot of Teslas. Sharp color. But little did I know, even just from wearing jeans, the blue on the jeans rubs off on the actual leather. Yeah, so never would I do an interior like that again.
Yeah, I've in my Cadillac, I have it's white with a creamish yellow interior, and you're right. I mean, I don't know. I got OCD with my cars. Everything is extremely immaculate, and you're right. Anytime you have like light interior, everything shows up. I mean, it's like crazy. My dogs have never been in my car. No way.
Oh,
in my wife's car, yes. My car, no.
See, when you started talking there, all I saw was this long white Cadillac, like in the Lincoln Lawyer that Matthew McConaughey has in Lincoln Lawyer, and then the bodacious cowboy hat, those round sunglasses, and you driving down.
I do wear it in there. That I do wear. I do wear that in there.
Totally see you do that, brother. Totally see you do that for sure. That's great. Yeah, totally.
Let's see, boys. You know, and I think like, you know, it's awesome to kind of see. Like, Dan, did you go into your lessons already for the week?
Damn right, man. Yeah, I'm actually gonna try a toaster strudel today.
Okay.
So I'm getting all the sugary, really good stuff that's not good for you that I'm gonna try first. So we're good. We're good.
You know something. Going back to Dan when he was talking about weightlifting and going to the gym and everything like that. It kind of has like a segue to logistics with failure and successes, right? When it's all like the mindset. So when I was running, last time I ran was in high school, and I didn't run for over 30 years. And so in my 50s, we had this championship. I told you about that. And I hated sweating. I hated the feeling of going out there and getting sweaty. But once I got sweaty and I was running, 3 to 5 miles every single day, I was a complete madman. As soon as I got to that other side, it was like full steam ahead. Nothing can stop me. It's like the same thing when you have your problems in logistics and you're frustrated and you're trying to get to where you need to be. And all of a sudden you get to that level and it's like hitting warp speed. It's like, boom, I mean, Dan, you know what I mean? It's just like, muscle memory and all of this, you're struggling, you're hurting so much. And all of a sudden you get to that point where you feel really, really good. The energy builds up and you just have this like power rush to move forward and do it really, really quick. And, I blew out my knees doing it because I was so set on what my goals and objectives is. But I relate that to logistics as well. It's like that mindset. You just get to that point where you want more and more and more and more and more and more, and you just go crazy at it.
It's kind of like that 3 feet from gold strategy, where most people quit when they're 3 feet from the gold they're looking for. You
Yeah.
know, and salespeople that first come in the industry, they quit before that effort that they've put in pays off. And then the salespeople that are intermediate and they're closing accounts, they quit calling that prospect, 2-3 calls before the deal's done. It's
Right.
like,
And
well,
it's
this is going
that
nowhere.
one
This is
last
going
call.
nowhere, right?
It's
Yeah.
that one last call that's the breaker that they don't realize exists because they never gave themselves that opportunity to make it. They completely failed before.
Well, and it's an instant, like, we're all being programmed for instant stuff, like instant. All of us, every
True.
one of us has been in this position where it's like, do I do it and I go out here and it takes this long, or do I just get it instantly over here?
Yep.
And same thing in business. People are coming out of school, people are joining businesses where they want to start generating revenue right away. And I saw it dozens of times when I was training salespeople. They'd come in, they're hyped, they're ready to go, and within 2 weeks, it's like, I've sent 10 quotes out, nobody's giving me any business, and I'm like, a relationship, you look at a relationship, but when you're trying to start your career and when you're trying to build, and you hear all these people, I'm doing 30, 40, 50 G's a week, and and it's like, oh my God, like, I'm not doing $10 a day. And it's such a big gap that sometimes it's just people just don't see that there's any way to build a bridge to it.
Yeah, it's a shame.
It's a shame, but it's like that in any industry, right? Like I have a buddy of mine that does all stocks and bonds, and he was like, dude, you should get into it. He goes, you would love it. And I'm listening to him like, okay, I know I could sell. It would be a big learning curve. And after he's talking to me about it, and first thing in my head was, I'm so far removed from that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it would be foreign. And then I have to stop and say to myself, well, yeah, but that foreign was this a year and a half ago. This exact thing 2 years ago was foreign. Now it's like normal, right? Everything can turn that way, but we just don't.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever give it the time. The one thing Grant Cardone said, he said the two things that kill companies the most is not enough action and they don't give themselves enough time.
Yeah, time's a killer. Time is a killer. It's like you can't expect things to happen overnight. It does not happen. And until you get that up here and you realize, shit, this is going to take a lot of time and effort. Do I want to put the effort in to get to where I need to be? I hear what people are saying, but then again, they get frustrated. And how many people that do enter the sales side on the logistics side actually stay in that role, and how many leave? I mean, it's only a small, percentage of that because of that frustration level. They don't give themselves enough time to learn.
Well, I'll give you a perfect example, Jeff. So, real life example. We started a company back in April. We were supposed to launch in August. August happened. We weren't even close. We said, okay, we got to move it a month. September happened. No, not ready. October, towards the end. We're literally looking at releasing to beta by the end of the week or midweek next week. Just issues coding, issues here, things not connecting, things not working. And so when you look at that and the revenue that we had lined up for this, it's massive losses.
Yeah.
Kept me up at night more times than I can count. In the end, what is me staying up at night going to do? People are working as fast as they can. You've hoped you've brought the right team in to surround you because you are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most, and it will happen. Patience.
Yeah.
And I was just Ryan's in the group, the WhatsApp group, and before this show, I'm like, okay, guys, need to understand this because I'm a big. It'll be done by this date. Now we move on, and I can put that plan in action. And sometimes it just doesn't happen to the way we hope it will. I was hoping the system would be ready to go and you'd all be using it right now. The next evolution of sales in this industry, and it needs to hit this industry. And these people these salespeople need to start bridging the gaps because there's so many really great salespeople that just are a little confused and just a few tweaks here and there, and they can now design the life they want for them and their family. And that in
Yep.
the end is the ultimate freedom, right? So
Yeah. And look at a great example, real quick example, Elon Musk. Okay.
Mhm.
When he started his SpaceX business, he was failing. Rockets were blowing up, and he was pumping in ton of money. And it was on Christmas Eve. I forgot how many years ago. And it was the breaking point. And he basically said, and I read part of it, that if that rocket did not take off and do what it was supposed to do, he was done. He was done, finished. Well, I think we all know what happened that day when that rocket took off,
Mhm.
and he took off as well.
And I believe that's because he had signed. He has just about 3 million in in salary in employees, and he had like 3.1 million in his bank account, and he literally signed the last amount of money over to pay his employees.
And look what
And
happened.
that's why if that rocket screwed up,
He
it
had
would have been.
he had self-confidence in him. It was built in him, and he was willing to take that risk and that leap of faith. And guess what happened? It paid off. Time, patience, determination, drive, all of that made him what he is today. It's foolproof. It's there. You can read his biography and everything that has happened to that gentleman, whether you like him or not. Even with Tesla, I mean, he still has a huge warehouse of the first generation of Teslas that never sold, that just sat there. I mean, the company could have went easily, in the shitter. Look what happened. Patience, drive,
Well,
determination.
patience and innovation, right? So one of the big things that saved Tesla was the fact that he started doing internet style market launches and product launches, as opposed to, so Tesla was the first car company to say, okay, I'll take $1,000 reservation, $1,000 reservation, $1,000 reservation. So 190,000 people put in $1,000. He takes that money to fund the build, and he was the first car maker to ever do that. Now you look at all the car makers; they all do it. When I wanted my Mustang, I had to put $500 to $1,000 down.
Mhm.
And I'm like, when is it coming? Well, I don't know, this year or next year.
I remember that.
But it's the norm in the auto industry now. And Tesla was the blue ocean of that. Where car companies are saying, hold on, we can make $190 million before we even punch one panel. Like, I think at one point Tesla made like 3.6 billion in orders, just people ordering the cars.
Crazy,
so that
right?
gives him a ton of operating capital. Right, that's just a deposit. That's not even when the car sells. Right. So that's the new way to get this, to get all this done. It's crazy. So he innovated as well as believed in himself. But
And what is he labeled the hardest working man in the world or whatever? That he hardly ever sleeps. He's like working constantly. His mind is
I'm not sure.
extremely interesting. Extremely interesting. Definitely a workaholic, but he's having fun, a tremendous amount of fun doing what he does. He looks for people that are as smart, or smarter than him. And I'm like, wow, man, you must be looking for needles in the haystack, because you're pretty damn smart, whether you like them or not. I mean, it's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's awesome. And just coming back to it, coming back to patience, you guys had me thinking, right? When I was in the corporate world, we'd bring in new guys, and they go ham for like 90 days, and then they get let go because they weren't pulling numbers. But then a week after they left, your manager's sharing out all the leads, and you basically get to eat off of that, in terms of, hey, if they just showed a little bit more patience to them, those guys would have closed those deals. Like, a lot of customers that I got in the corporate world were from prospects that I didn't even work on. Somebody was planting the seed, somebody was making all the calls, making all the emails, and I just came in once they got let go, and it was like, okay, well, show them the patience, and I feel like that satisfaction, you get that, hey, I've closed one, I'm going to close another, because I learned very early in this industry is like, when you close a customer, then the best time to call is right after you close a deal, right? Because you've got all the adrenaline going, you got everything going there. So I think just honestly have patience and just be honest with yourself. You know, at the end of the day, like if you're gonna sit down and you're like, hey, I got a 2-hour call block to do, and you're like, I don't want to do 2 hours of call block. Make it a 30 minute call block. Dominate those 30 minutes and then let that momentum go into the next 30 minutes and then the next 30 minutes, right? So I'm a big fan of taking it 1 minute at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 day at a time, because I can't be looking. I know we're almost at the end of October now, but I can't be looking at December
No.
and January. Like I can set my projections, but I'm not there mentally yet. I'm still here on the 21st, right? So
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to be there in the moment. What's happening today? You know, yesterday is gone. Tomorrow's not promised. So you have to be focused in what needs to be done today, and put your best foot forward.
But you know what, Jeff? There's only one thing that's kind of promised today, and that is the DAT lane of the day.
That's good.
There we go. He had to leave. Today's lane of the day is going to be flatbed out of Vicksburg, Mississippi to Laredo, Texas. Line haul RPM is looking at $2.81 a mile. All in with fuel is looking at $3.62 a mile. Contract is $3.75 a mile. Year over year line haul change has been minus 18 cents. And we're looking at recent upward movement and tight capacity on this lane due to the Mississippi River congestion, as this area has a huge barge backup. The rate is looking at 37 cents higher than September average. That is
beauty. We got some. Did you get in all these comments here?
No, let's get into them. So I think let's deal with Kyle here. Great point, Dan. In this industry, it's even worse. You have to commit to yourself, to something, and take that leap of faith. People get so discouraged, and it's so true.
Yep.
And then Maggie, love Maggie. Maggie's awesome. An encouraging and positive environment is where those people need to thrive. Everything has to be a choice to see the good. Negativity will paralyze everyone, and that's
Truth.
It's the truth. It's.
There you go. And then you got Tyler saying, "Oh, you must work radio."
Oh my! You know what? The inside joke is that my mom says that I have a face for radio. So like I
nice,
on radio.
I'd like to just bring this back up because Maggie brings up a very good point. You can have a group of people that are all like-minded and everything's going great, and you put in one negative. I call it a virus. One person can shatter the culture of a whole company. So that statement that Maggie said rings more true than most people even give it credit for.
Well, Dan, let me ask you this, right? Like let's say you got a bunch of bananas, right? You put them in your fruit basket or whatever. One of them turns rotten. What's going to happen to the rest, right? So it's kind of like that infection of you got to kind of protect yourself a little bit and then understand that, hey, if there's negativity, just like I kind of say with meditation, let it be like you're on the highway. Let it be in a car and let it drive away, and don't really take it on or hop aboard.
It's interesting because I know you were part of it, Ryan. Jeff, I think you were part of it too. I'm not sure. I went out to 10 sales reps and I said, listen, if you were to lose everything, your customer list, everything, and you woke up with your knowledge, a phone and a laptop, what would you do for the next 30 days? And out of everyone I asked, Nicole Glenn from Candor Expedite said, well, first I'd figure out what kind of company I wanted to work at. And it was the only one that did it that way. Everybody else was like, well, I'd find my ideal client. I'd get a list. I'd find an agency, that kind of thing. She said, because I'd want to be around people that are going to support me as I'm trying to rebuild. And she said, so that piece would be the biggest piece. She goes, and then as I'm working on that, I would kind of, work my other parts of the plan. But it was interesting because, I don't know, in my career, only late in my career, I started saying, okay, the company I work for is even more important than the work I do. Because if I'm sharing this message and they're delivering this message, it's never congruent.
Nope.
So.
Agreed.
All right. Rowski.
Yeah, let's get it out, boys. So just want to thank everybody for coming out this morning. Tons of activity, tons of comments. This week has been really jam-packed to see. Congratulations on Dan for being here for the full 5 days. Looking forward to onward and upward. Yeah, exactly. Let's get it done.
Give him a standing O.
Guess that I know from there. So everybody, if you missed this morning, definitely check out our replays at 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. Eastern time on our social channels on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. I just want to thank everybody. Crush your week. Have an amazing weekend. I know it's going to be a little hot where everybody is kind of this week, and we'll see you guys on Monday. Take care.
Have a great weekend, guys.
Centurion Trucking, our motto is people before profit. Today's market requires more transparency, consistency, and focus on what our clients need to win. Centurion Trucking and American Logistics are poised to help their clients achieve and surpass their targets. If you're looking for a team that honors your needs, dreams, and aspirations, then get a hold of Daman at American Logistics or Centurion Trucking and start designing your career